Welcome to Saturn in Aries. I am filming this on May 25th, 2025. It is the first day of Saturn in Aries. The ingress was last night. I am in America in the Central Time Zone. And so, wherever you are in the world, I think for everybody it was yesterday. So, Saturn Aries, the fire is yours to master. So, as I talked about in my Neptune in Aries masterclass, I am beyond thrilled about all of this energy moving into Aries. I know Saturn gets a bad rap, but we could all use, a little structure, a little form. And so I am so excited about all of these transitions that are happening right now. So, Saturn moving into Aries, we will have for about, I think, 97 days. September 1st, I believe Saturn retrogrades back into Pisces for just a moment before it moves forward again. I believe it re-enters Aries on February 13th, 2026, and then makes a conjunction at the 0-degree Aries point with Neptune, the creator degree, the creator point. What a potent transit to be a part of. And so I'm so excited for all these energies shifting and for all of us to be here witnessing it all together. So we're just going to take a little skim of the Saturn and Aries, of the energies, what to be looking for, some tips and tricks on how to best work with this energy. What an amazing time. I absolutely love Aries, obviously down to Mars. We talked about this a million times. I'm so thrilled to be moving out of all this Pisces energy into Aries. It is just thrilling to me. So, about this class explores the energetic, emotional, and strategic impact of Saturn's move into Aries. So, remember, as we discussed in the Neptune into Aries masterclass, Pisces, from a perspective, since it is the last sign of the zodiac, has no future. It is the return to oneness. It dissolves boundaries, lack of structure. And so Saturn will be moving from the last sign to the first sign that only has a future. There is only steps in front of Aries. And so there is a much different energetic coming online with this. It is the planet of structure, responsibility, and self-mastery. And it's entering the sign of raw action and identity. So, as with Neptune and Aries, we talked about a new era of leadership, both self-leadership and the leadership of others. Personal power is earned through alignment, not performance. And so we'll be diving into what Saturn and Aries means on the individual level and for the collective, working with this momentum and how to build a life that can actually hold your fire. And so this is for anyone ready to turn clarity into commitment, a Saturnian word, and potential into personal power. And so a lot of the themes will be readdressed. Like I said, with Neptune and Pisces, we were doing a lot of visualizing, dreaming, architecting, meditating. And now this is solidifying, bringing structure and commitment to the areas of life that Saturn in Aries is influencing. So, what is Saturn? Saturn is the great teacher, the initiator, the force that asks us to build something real. Slow and steady wins the race, right? It rules discipline, boundaries, maturity, long-term goals, structure, and literally time itself. Saturn is the Lord of time. And so wherever Saturn is in your chart or in the sky, it's applying pressure for refinement. It's not for punishment, but to make you stronger. Like I said, slow and steady wins the race. Things that are built with longevity and form and structure all have Saturnian influence. So Saturn wants integrity, accountability, and wisdom. and it teaches us through experience and asks us to rise into self-responsibility without ego, excuses, or avoidance. And so the excuses and avoidance was a lot of that Piscean escapism energy. So much just, oh, the universe, like no more time for that. And so, as always, what we're leaving behind, discussing a little bit of Saturn in Pisces energy. It's closing a chapter on emotional processing, spiritual refinement, in dissolving outdated structures. So we've broken down so many things over. We have Pluto moving into Aquarius, Neptune moving into Aries, Saturn moving into Aries. And so this dissolving of a lot of structures, of things that no longer serve us individually and at the collective level will start to be rebuilt and reinitiated during these transits in Aries. Saturn in Pisces tested our ability to trust what we couldn't see, to hold boundaries in fluid environments, and to find purpose in the intangible. Right? We've had these mass spiritual awakenings, plant medicine, delving into the unseen, but the shadow side was so real. I've talked about this so many times. So many people struggled with avoidance, burnout, and floating without direction. I experienced so much of that. I had Saturn in Pisces transiting my sixth house of day-to-day responsibilities in the amount of people that I had to hire and let go of because of the avoidance, excuses, and just not showing up, just floating around, wanting basically toxic empathy, toxic compassion instead of holding. I'm a Virgo rising, okay? Virgos love structure. Virgos love our color coded calendars. And so please do not come to me with excuses about how you can continually not show up with your life. I'm literally a Virgo rising with a bunch of Aries and a Taurus sun, fixed earth. I am not here for your excuses. I'm here for your legendary soul, for the bigness of you. And so I'm here for not to co-sign your bullshit or excuses. I am here to help you build, to find purpose, to find structure, to dig deep and really show up for all of these elements of your life. And so while Saturn was in Pisces, we did learn how to surrender, but now it's time to act. And so you'll see a lot of these more do-oriented verbs, just like we did in the Neptune and Pisces masterclass. It is time to act, time to move. A new identity is coming online. And so if you're watching this around the time that I posted it, make sure you have 90 days, June, July, August. Who can you become in the next 90 days while we get this little introduction to Saturn and Aries? And then again, we're going back across the line. Both Saturn and Neptune will move back into Pisces, and then they'll move forward, and we are full-time activated come next February. And so get so excited, ground down through your goals, decide who you want to be, decide what you want to become, and hit the ground fucking running. And Saturn in Aries brings us from escapism to embodiment, from passive reflection into activated self-leadership. This is the shift from dreaming it to building it. And so, like the same energy that we looked at with Neptune in Aries, dreaming to doing, dreaming to building, passive spirituality, passive just reflection, meditating. It's more internal work to now taking all of the gold that you've mined during this internal season to outward development, activated self-leadership. So, a discussion of the archetypes. So, Saturn is the wise teacher, the taskmaster, and the architect. It represents discipline, maturity in the path of earned mastery. It governs responsibility, structure, and long term growth. Things that are built with Saturn energetics withhold in the long term. I was just listening to something, they were talking about the three little pigs, and if you build with Saturn, Saturn is the brick house that the wolf cannot blow down. So the planetary function, Saturn slows things down to make them real. It tests, restricts, and refines so that we build something sustainable. It teaches through time, effort, and tangible results. So you can see how different this energetic is. And so it doesn't slow you down and hinder you in a negative capacity. It slows things down for a refinement. It is like when you go through your Saturn return, you are going through what is normally difficulties and hardships, but you come out with a type of refinement afterwards. The energetic expression, Saturn energy shows up as boundaries, focus, and commitment. It demands integrity and often brings pressure, but that pressure forges strength. So you can see the repetitive ideals that come up here. It is the slow and steady wins the race. It is jumping over the hurdles in the pressure, but it's like a diamond. Pressure makes something beautiful. And so you're being forged in the fire, but it will bring greatness and longevity and long term growth and impact if you show up for the correct energetics. So, the spiritual lesson, Saturn invites us to lead ourselves and asks us to choose integrity over ego, patience over impulse, and alignment over approval. What we build with Saturn becomes our foundation. Just over and over again. A strong foundation built to last, built with integrity, building things that are sustainable. And the Aries archetype that we went over in our Neptune class, but it is the warrior, the pioneer, and the initiator, and it rules identity, action, willpower, courage, impulse, self-assertion, self-leadership, and it governs the I am principle, where we act from instinct and embody our individuality. Aries is the energy to start, lead, and embody selfhood without waiting for approval. And so when Saturn meets Aries, it is the courage to commit and the power to persist. So, really, the power to persist, commitment, persistence are going to be huge, huge, huge ideals during this time. So, Saturn in the sign of Aries. And it would be beneficial to note that Saturn is in fall in the sign of Aries, because you can see kind of they rule two different, they're two different energetics, right? Saturn is slowing things down, building to last, where Aries does real quick impulse. So you can see it's not the most generous enmeshment of energies, but it's going to be really fucking cool anyways. So the planet of discipline is entering the sign of personal fire. It's time to grow into your courage, build from your instincts, and create structures that support your raw energy. It's here to refine how you express identity, how we take action, and how we relate to personal power. So there's going to be refinement of this identity. The lesson, the fire is not wrong, but it does need direction. And Saturn helps build a foundation beneath the passion so we can build sustainably. And this is the time for integrating movement with structure. So again, Aries is an impulsive energy. And so slowing down, moving with integrated clarity, integrated structure, with form and function in mind. And start by looking at where you're impulsive or reactive and create rituals around those things to assess the energetics before acting. And this is a time to really be honest about where you're avoiding action and movement and start taking small, steady steps toward what you want to embody. Key phrase, Saturn doesn't want perfection, it wants commitment. And so, small, steady steps during this age of Aries energy, we get to release all of. I was talking to another friend in the online social media space, and she posted something about no longer need, like, it doesn't have to be perfect with the color coded captions and the B roll and the da 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 da. And I responded and I was like, yes, Neptune has moved out of Pisces into Aries. And so now raw authenticity in the online social media space is more championed. Gone are the influencers, gone are the filters and things like that. We now get to move from just who we are. So her and I actually made an agreement this morning. I'm going to do not my 90 days of Aries is I'm pretty sure I'm going to go live every day. And so if you aren't following the Down to Mars Instagram, go head over there, DWNTOMRS. So easy peasy. It's in the description for this video. Come join us over there. I'll be doing some lives just to really embody this raw, authentic era of embodiment and self leadership. The collective themes of Saturn and Aries. And so this will shift the collective into a new relationship again with self leadership. Who are you being during this era? What are you leading yourself into? There will be a focus on personal accountability, embodied confidence, and authentic ambition, not just ego driven action, not money driven, not ego driven, whatever performative action, gone. This is now embodied self leadership, the creation of your life. What you build now will be sustained if you build it with this raw, authentic energy. If you have the courage to commit and you have the power to persist. Performative leadership will crumble. That was my next sentence on my slides. There you go. Motivation that isn't rooted in identity will fade. This is about taking responsibility for your energy and your actions. It's also about learning how to sustain momentum instead of burning out. Saturn in Aries reminds that this consistency is what turns courage into legacy. So now is the time for, like I said, small, steady actions, embodied leadership, consistency in movement, even if it's just small little steps every day. A new Saturn. So, just a discussion of a few of the pillars that are coming. Self leadership, we've been talking about this, is called to lead from within. There is no longer a super hierarchical structure. We've talked about this with Neptune in Aries as well, finding mentors and guides and leaders that want to rise shoulder to shoulder with you. It is very important to invest in yourself in that way, to vest in mentorship, in guides. I remember Tony Robbins a long time ago. He read like, I don't know, 700 books in like 7 years or some crazy, just because he was like, why would I spend 10 years figuring something out when somebody's already spent 10 years figuring it out and then they wrote a book about it? And so invest in yourself in that way. Find mentors, leaders, and guides that really champion self leadership, not hierarchical, not dependency in their leadership, but leading you into your own leadership so that you can rise shoulder to shoulder together. Saturn and Aries ask you to take full responsibility for your choices and direction. No more waiting for permission or external validation. Show up for yourself like you're the one in charge, because you are. So become in charge of your own life. Become in charge of your future, your destiny, your path, your purpose. Self leadership. And that is something that was so interesting to me, being in a lot of spaces in the online mentorship space, is that in the younger populations, I would see so much of this shadow of Pisces, the escapism, the, oh, just let it, da 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 da. Oh, if that person, then just like block them. But in the spaces with women, with more grounded humans rooted in their power, it was about staying power, self leadership, rooting down and rising up. And those were such different conversations. And so you can just see the application. These women are making millions and millions of dollars in their practices, helping other leaders rise into their power, helping humans grow through the problems of everyday humaning. And a lot of the ones in the girly space are kind of still doing the same thing, still, trying to float their way through it. And so, very interesting. I've been waiting for this energetic to come online and to see the shift in leadership that because not only are we going to see a shift in people's own personal leadership, but we're also going to see a shift in the leadership of the mentorship space, the leadership in the spiritual space. We are going to go from a very Piscean group of leaders with the plant medicine and the healing spaces, and to something that feels much more fire leadership. We're going to see so much more action, discipline, staying power, what I consider to be real leadership, even though I might be impartial because of, I'm a huge fan of the Aries archetype and the like, let's actually get shit done. Next, disciplined action. Your energy needs a plan. Aries wants to move fast, but Saturn requires strategy. This pillar is about slowing down enough to act with intention, building momentum through structure, and creating systems that actually support your drive. So, self leadership, disciplined action, which I kind of touched on in the first little section, anyways. Next, identity maturity. It's time to grow out of performative personas, which we talked about with the exit of Neptune out of Pisces. We don't have to curate everything. It doesn't have to be color, even though I like to show up in my red lipstick, because naturally I like my aesthetics, but I don't edit these classes, pull out the ums and ahs or whatever, pauses. I make my slide deck, I film it once, I throw it in between my intro and outro, and I throw it up on YouTube. And that's just what it is. There's no performative aspect of these YouTube masterclasses and what I'm creating on my platform. It's very much just my structure, put it up. Very much Aries. But I do like it beautiful. And shout out to Hallie for the best branding in the entire world. If you're interested in any of my logo, shout out to me, or get into my DMs and I will forward you to my graphic designer because she is amazing. At Seriously Hallie, HALLIE. You can find her on Instagram, DM her, tell her Jordan sent you. So it's time to outgrow performative personas and into who you really are. Saturn in Aries asks you to define your identity from a grounded place. See, we talked about that, root down to rise up. So take your Aries impulsiveness, stretch it out a little bit, really assess what the ins and outs, and move from this grounded place. But there is action involved, courage, self-leadership into this new identity. Own your evolution and stop outsourcing your self-image to old roles and ego stories. And can we stop calling ourselves cringe? Like, everybody posting online and they're like, oh, like, I'm okay being cringe. You're not fucking cringe. You're only cringe if you think you are. Who fucking cares? And so, again, it's that performative, like, I'm not meeting this performative standard, so I'm cringe. Ugh, hate that. Can we just, like, 86, the word cringe, please. Thank you. Courage with structure. Boldness is no longer enough. Saturn refines Aries' raw fire into steady, grounded strength. Love this. This is about turning passion into persistence and acting from purpose, not just adrenaline. Real courage now means staying consistent, honoring your timing, and building a foundation strong enough to support your risks. Leadership is no longer a performance, it's a practice. So, a practice every single day. June, July, August, I will be practicing for 90 days a non performative leadership, self leadership to show up more online. I'm everybody's favorite secret astrologer. I have a whole phone full of everybody's charts I think that I've ever having met in my life, but I wasn't online. I wasn't showing self leadership. Well, I have hired and let go many editors. I wanted to build a team, and it just, again, the shadow of Pisces kept showing through. It was in my sixth house of day to day works, the day to day responsibilities that it takes to bring these online. And as soon as Saturn moved from my sixth house into my seventh house, boom, my sixth house energy opened up. My YouTube videos are now online, and I have a whole backstock of PowerPoints that I've made, and I'm going to be filming. And so this channel is just going to get more and more and more and more and more over the summer, and very exciting. The invitation. This transit is asking us to mature our relationship to action, ambition, assertion. So again, you have the father time of responsibility and structure, meaning impulsiveness, quick action. And so blend them together and become mature about your action, mature about your ambition, mature about your leadership. Move with grounded clarity, form, and function. Being asked to lead yourself, not with ego, but with integrity. Saturn in Aries isn't here to tame your fire, it's here to refine it. So that's what we talked about, that Saturn gets such a bad rap, but the pressure is for refinement. After Saturn returns, you have this sense of maturity. You've gone through such a growth, and there's wisdom involved. Saturn brings such great gifts if you move with its energetic in the right way. Can you still be bold but grounded? Can you move fast but with purpose? Can you initiate not from urgency or impulsiveness, but from alignment? This is your invitation to redefine what success means for you and build systems that actually support your power instead of draining it. So again, going back to structure, form, systems, the area of your chart, which has Aries in the Saturn transit, is going to be refined. There will be form brought to it. Mine has entered my seventh house of one-to-one relationships. I've had a new wave of clients come online. Funny side story. So I have not been able to ever download a dating app. It has always shut down my phone. I have had to change my Apple password every time I have attempted to download Hinge, Bumble, whatever. The moment Saturn transited into my seventh house of one-to-one relationships, where it can bring a seriousness, dating, people that go through this transit a lot of times get married. So now I have dating apps on my phone. It is absolutely hilarious, the exactness of the clockwork. It is literally like clockwork. And so you can see it's not always this heaviness. It can bring a seriousness, a maturity. And so now I have shifted into a time in my life where I am bringing in more mature, serious relationships, more mature clientele. I get to be more mature in my pursuit of dating. Very interesting. Key takeaways: lead yourself first. This is personal responsibility at a new level. Self leadership, if you take one thing from this masterclass, it is self leadership. Build structure that supports your energy and sustains momentum. So, again, fire you can burn out. That's something that can come with Aries energy. And so make sure you build the structure that supports the energy and to sustain the momentum. Remember, refinement of the fire. Define your identity from truth, not from reaction or ego. So this is also an invitation to build a new identity, a self-leadership in the becoming of who you want to be. Courage is not a spike of energy, it's consistency in motion. And so, another aspect of this consistency, small and steady steps. If you want to join in on our 90 days of commitment, feel free to DM me. And yeah, I love the element of accountability. We're all stronger together. Everybody can benefit from a cheerleader. Discipline is not restriction, it's what gives your purpose power. So I would love to remap people's relationship with Saturn. I know Saturn with Saturn returns gets a bad rap and pop astrology and whatnot, but discipline and commitment and persistence are not bad things. They are the energy which creates longevity, form. It is the things that are built with Saturn in these elements. Like I said, it is the brick house that the wolf cannot come and blow down. Maturity doesn't mute your fire, it makes it unstoppable. And so, with these transits through Aries, let's become fucking unstoppable. Let's decide who we're going to become over these next 90 days of this introduction of Saturn and Aries. Let's build a new identity. Let's have the consistency, have the persistence, and really shine through. By the time we get to the fall, you can be a brand new person with maturity and devotion in this area of your life and build something truly incredible with this energetic. Working with Saturn and Aries. This transit calls for grounded action and intentional self-leadership. It's not about doing more, it's about moving with purpose. Let Saturn refine the fire, shape your habits, and guide you toward lasting impact through steady, aligned effort. Steady, aligned effort. Ways to work with this energy: set short term goals with long term vision. I invite you to set 90-day goals. Like I've talked about this entire masterclass, you have June, July, and August with Saturn and Aries. Set some short-term goals for yourself for this window of time and use the long-term vision. Set them within the container of what you want to achieve over the long term. Create structure that channels your motivation. So don't get too crazy and restrictive. Make sure you still feel the passion within the devotion to this new identity, this new becoming that we're coming through. Prioritize movement, strength, and embodiment. With all of this Aries energy coming online, we are going to see a surge in like gym-oriented stuff, movement. There's so many great things that are happening and energies that are coming online, and just make sure you take care of your physical body, your personal fire, building the fire element within your system. Choose steady action over scattered urgency. So this is very much scattered urgency can be a shadow of Aries, of course. And so steady action, steady Saturn, action Aries. Boom. Honor boundaries that support your growth. Saturn, we love boundaries. And so make sure you're really accounting for all of these elements. because they will really be important as we move through whenever Saturn retrogresses and then comes back into Aries. All of this boundaries and steady action as we see all of the gifts. When you're showing up and making these small steps, we'll see all these gifts come online, and make sure you have boundaries with yourself. So again, there's no scattered urgency, there's no burnout. You're going through a refinement process. So create boundaries for yourself that supports this. Journaling. Here's some journal prompts to work through this energy, really just like mine for some gold, meditate on them, really dive deep, and set this container for yourself, because you could really, really accomplish some incredible things during this transit. So, 1, where am I being called to take full responsibility in my life? What does mature courage look like for me right now? 3, where am I acting from impulse instead of alignment? 4, what part of my identity feels ready to evolve? And 5, what structure could support the fire I feel inside? And if you're also curious about where this transit is affecting your chart, feel free to, you can get online and look for free. If you know what you're doing, check out your transits and find where transit Saturn, what house it's sitting in, where Aries is in your chart. Or if you would like a reading, again, reach out, DM, hop on my calendar, and we can get that rocking and rolling for you. A little discussion of the shadow tendencies. The shadow of Saturn in Aries can show up as inner conflict, repression, or reactive behavior. When we resist Saturn's lessons, we get stuck in loops, either overcorrecting into control and perfectionism or avoiding responsibility altogether. On the surface, Aries wants to move fast, but Saturn slows everything down. We've talked about this. They're very much different energetics. This can create frustration, especially for those who feel like they've outgrown where they are but haven't built what's next. Watch for the need to prove something, suppress your anger, or act before you're truly grounded. To close, your fire is sacred. Saturn just wants to make sure you know how to carry it. That is the lesson of Saturn and Aries. Everyone has an inner fire, an inner passion burning inside of them, your purpose while you're here, the fire that really lights you up. Saturn is here to refine how you carry it, to make sure there are no holes in the bottom of your basket where it can leak out. It is just an honoring of a maturing around this process. It's going to take you to your next level so that you can truly hold the boundlessness of your potential and your purpose in this lifetime. And so, how exciting is that? It's such a gift and an honor to be going through these cycles and seeing these challenges and obstacles as they carve you into the most beautiful version of yourself. Establishing boundaries, establishing maturity, I love the word refinement. I love it. I love the meaning of it. And it's not always easy by any means, but the process is always deeply, deeply worth it. And if you're looking for support during this time, I am enrolling private mentorship clients. I didn't even really map this out. Of course, it's just what came through. Always on the time clock. I'm enrolling for 3-month containers. So if you would like to spend June, July, and August with support, feel free to reach out. We can hop on a call, discuss my packaging, and I would love to support you through this next evolution of yours, the refinement, the maturity, and build this next identity of yourself. It is absolutely go time. We have so many planets moving from water and earth into fire and air, the extroverted elements. And so there's a huge invitation right now to build a new identity. We're moving into a completely new version of humanity. Consciousness is rising and evolving. And if you would like to walk shoulder to shoulder during this next few months, this introduction to this new energy, this introduction to this new leadership, I would love to support you through this evolution in mapping out this new identity and bringing it online, helping you pack your toolbox with more tools that can support you through this evolution. It is deeply a gift of mine to support people in this way. And I cherish the opportunity to work with people and to support people and to just be trusted with the guidance that comes through during these sessions. It is absolutely one of my favorite things in the world. It's why I've built my life around it. And I'm so excited to get back into private mentorship. So if you're interested, feel free to shoot me an email, a DM, and we will get you all set up. But that concludes Saturn in Aries. We have 90 days of this energy. Use it to your advantage. It is an absolutely exceptional time to birth the version of you, the long term version of you that's filled with passion and purpose and abundance. And so, thank you for sitting with me during this masterclass. This one's a little longer than usual. And so, I'm so grateful for your time. Like, subscribe, find me somewhere on the internet. I would love to hear from you how this transit's working out for you. And yeah, thank y'all so much. I hope you have a wonderful transit, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe so you never miss an update from Down to Mars.